Hello everyone and welcome to our All About You program and this special series called Discipline in 21 Ways. And on today's program we will be speaking about discipline in regards to parents and children. And maybe you are there and you're thinking, but wait a moment, I'm not a mother, I don't have any children. But perhaps you look after your little brother every now and again. Perhaps you look after your nephews, your grandson, your granddaughter, or maybe you are a CBC educator and you have the opportunity to deal with these precious souls that God has placed in your life. Yes, that's it, mothers. I'm sure you are aware of it, but with the day-to-day duties and responsibilities and the clock ticking so fast and all the things that you have to do, it is sadly, but sometimes it does runs out of our mind how precious these souls are, how precious these little lives are. God has placed them, God has given to you the responsibility to look after them. And with this responsibility, He has also given you everything that you need. Did you know that? Maybe you feel lost every now and again. Maybe you don't know what to do, because there are so many different challenges that we face with our children. I am a mother, and I know that there are different stages, and when you think you've mastered one, comes a new challenge. And that's why it's very important for you to team up with God. Yes, team up with Him and seek from Him the advice that you need. Seek from Him the direction that you need to face this situation that you're facing today. Forget about tomorrow. Let's face each day at a time. What are the difficulties that you're facing with your children today? God has the answer, and He can guide you. He can show you the way out. But you know what? Many times we forget that, you see, with children and like ourselves, nobody is born knowing anything, right? When we are just a baby, we don't know anything. We don't know even to say when we are hungry. All that we do is what? Cry. If the baby is hungry, he doesn't know how to say, "Mom, can you please feed me?" And if your child ever does that, you're going to be frightened because this is not normal. The child won't know how to express themselves, right? But yet, he cries or she cries. They cry. And this is a way to call your attention, is a way to show you that he's in need of something. Maybe it's not hunger, maybe it's a pain. Whatever it is that he needs, though he doesn't know how to say, he will make a way, nature will make a way in order for this child to call your attention. And perhaps this child of yours, or this nephew of yours, or this child that you look after at the CBC, perhaps all you see is disobedience. Perhaps all you see is lack of respect. All you see is this child completely unaware of their actions, running up and down, and all you see is this. But what is behind this behavior? What is behind this disobedience? What is behind this anger? What is it what is provoking, what is leading this child to behave the way they are behaving? Maybe it's the opposite. Perhaps the children that you're looking after, perhaps your own child, is behaving in a different way. He's not rude, he's not agitated, but maybe he's quiet. He or she, forgive me if I keep saying he, I think it's because I have a son. But whatever, if it's a boy or a girl, whatever it is, maybe the child is there in a corner, is locked in the room, doesn't want to talk to you, doesn't want to share anything with you. So what are leading, what is leading your child to behave the way that he is or that she is. And that's a responsibility that we have as parents, to ask God, my God, how can I help my child? How can I understand him? How can I help my child? It is a responsibility of us parents. I was even checking here in the dictionary. Let me read for you the meaning, the definition of parents, and it says like this: is the one who brings up and cares for another. And also it says like this: it's the one that brings forth offspring. So you see that when you look after your child, you're not just looking after that one person. But if that child is well taken care of, everyone else that comes around that child, the children that the child will play at school, when the child grows up and has his own family. So everything that you teach this child now will follow him and will spread out into the lives of all those who comes across this child. How great is this responsibility, isn't it? So what are the things that we have to be paying attention at? For example, how can we teach someone when we are not present? It is impossible, right? How can you teach someone if you're never there? And maybe you're saying like this, but you don't know my life. I have to work. I'm a single parent, I have to work. If I don't work, my child won't have what to eat, where to sleep. I do agree with you, and I do understand that it's hard. It's not easy. However, I'm not talking about the amount of time. Perhaps you don't have an entire day. Maybe you do. Maybe you are well married and you have your husband working, and you are a stay-home mother, and you have the time to teach your child. You have the time to be there for him, to listen to him. Maybe you do have the time, but most of people nowadays, they do not have this time, unfortunately. However, the little time that you have, if you have this understanding that your child needs you, if you do not take time, if you do not make time to teach, to listen, to understand, to find out, because the child is not going to come to you and say everything that she's facing. Did you know that? When your child goes to school, and this I say because my son is a teenager now, and I discover things about him that I didn't know before. Every now and again he says, Mom, there was a time at school that this and this happened, and I was like, why didn't you tell me? So you see, your child faces a lot at school. Maybe your child faces bullying. Maybe your child is finding it hard to learn the lesson. Perhaps you are unaware that your child is watching you, and your child sees that you are nervous. Your child sees that you are worried. Many parents, they think that, oh, my child is just a child. He's not paying attention at anything. I am suffering. I am desperate. I don't know what to do with my life, but I will just look at him and smile and everything's gonna be okay. It's not like that. I'm sorry to break this news to you, but it's not like that. You don't need to say a word. Your child will see everything through your eyes, through the tone of your voice. Yes, I remember when I was, I've shared this experience before, but if you haven't listened to, when my father left my mother and my house with my brothers, when he went away, and I saw my mom depressed, I saw my mom sad, wow, it was as if to be honest with you, as a child, I felt responsible. How can this be? I was only 7 years old, but I felt responsible. And all I could think about was, maybe if I had been more obedient, maybe if I had been a better girl, Daddy wouldn't leave us. Can you see what goes on through a child's mind? What guilty did I have for my father to leave the house? What can a child be blamed for? I I had nothing to do with it, with the fact that he went away. But as a child, no wonder we say that children are vulnerable. They are vulnerable because, they have no understanding. So I thought that I was responsible for my father leaving my mother. And I felt guilty. And I felt, and that root went with me for years and years. I felt that I wasn't good enough. I felt that I wasn't, pretty enough, that I wasn't the best. Because if I had been the best, I thought my father would not have left me. So you see, you don't know what is going on in your child's mind. You don't know. But it's very important. It's very important that you are present. It's very important that you set an example, that you be an example. If you want your child, perhaps you are upset because your child is screaming all the time. What about you? What is your child learning from you? Maybe you are screaming as well. Perhaps you're complaining that your child is agitated, that your child doesn't stay still. How about you? Maybe that's the image your child is getting from you. Or maybe you say, oh, but my child is so shy. My child won't talk. Will you talk to your children? Do you talk to people, or are you also closed off? So everything that goes around you, your child, will pick up. And you see, the good news is that if you teach it, and this is so beautiful and it's so true, the Bible is true, and that's why I love the Word of God. The Word of God says, teach your child the way that he should follow when he's young, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. I am a testimony, a living testimony of this. Because before everything went sour in my childhood, before my father left my mother, before all that, my mom used to take me to Sunday school. I grew up going to Sunday school as a baby. And when I was 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4, 5, 6, 7, my mom was still taking me to Sunday school. And I would learn about God. I would learn about everything that he did, of how great he is, that he created the entire world. That's why I said, you CBC educators, you have a huge responsibility, because as a child going to Sunday school, those teachers planted in my heart the Word of God. They showed me who God was. They told me stories about God, of his power. And when my father left and my mom, went mentally ill, she went into a deep depression, I remembered, no, there is a God. When I was alone, when my father was nowhere to be found, and I don't blame him, he was in need of help himself. So when my father left and my mother was in need of help as well, and I had no one there to help. My brothers were younger than I. I was the oldest, but I was only 7. Do you know what I did? I remembered and I said, my God, if you are real, if you exist, if what I've learned going to CBC all these years, you have to help me. You have to help me, because my father is gone, my mother is sick. If you don't help me, who is going to help me? And he gave me the strength to go and look for help. As a child, I went looking for help. I went to the church. My mom took me when I was young, but after the situation took place, I went to the church as a child by myself to seek for help. And I gave my life to God, and years passed, and my mother gave her life to God. My father gave her life to God. My brothers, they are all married now, and they also gave their life to God. You see that what I was taught when I was young was planted there, and it bared fruit when I need it. Because the Word of God has this power. So don't despise the time that you have with your child. Don't despise the opportunity that you have to talk about God at the CBC. You know, when you are at home with your child, take some time. It doesn't need to be a lot. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Listen to your child. Be there. Listen to him. Be there with him. If he is in silence, be there in silence for a while. Don't force him to talk if they don't want. Give him the space, the time that he needs, but be there. And you know, as you're making yourself available, little by little, he's going to open up to you. And then you can teach him the Word of God. You can teach him about your own experiences. And I remember, I remember that when my son was young, and a couple of times he would come to my room and he would find me kneeling down and praying. And it wasn't something that would tell him, Samuel, you have to pray every day, but he would see me pray. So it is important to teach, yes, with words, very important, but it's much important to teach with your own behavior. Okay? I know that it is a lot and I have so much to say. Our time is very limited, it's very short. But I would encourage you to carry on watching this series about discipline, because for you to help your child, you need to be well yourself. You can only give what you have, isn't it? I can only give what I have. So if you invest in yourself, if you bring God into your life and allow God to give you patience, allow God to be your friend, as you invest in yourself and you become better with your timekeeping, as you become a better person, I'm sure that you will become a better mother, you will become a better child educator, CBC educator, you become a better big sister. Maybe you are the eldest, you are the big sister like I was to my brothers. I was the big sisters and I had the responsibility to look after them. So as you work in yourself, I'm sure that you will have much to give. And to close off everything here, be patient, okay? Don't expect that you will teach your child once or in 1 week and he's gonna learn the following week. Be patient, be kind, pray about it. As I said in the beginning, no child is born speaking, I'm hungry or I'm in pain. But with time, this child will learn. Remember when you were teaching your child to speak mom, to call your name? How many times had you had to repeat the name or whatever it was that you wanted your child to learn? If it was to walk, how many times you had to hold his or her hands for her to start walking? Was it on the first day that he learned? On the second? No, but with time, your child started talking, your child started walking, right? So do not be impatient. Teach every day, be present, be there, be quiet when you have to be quiet, smile when you have to smile, discipline when you have to discipline. But be present, even if it's at night, because most of you, as I said, go to work in the morning and only get your child towards the end of the afternoon. No worries. But that time that you have with your child, focus on your child. Be watchful. Okay? Don't just ignore thinking that it's just a child. No, it's not just a child. It's a soul. It's a soul that through him, other people will also be affected. So when you invest in your child, you're investing in your family, you're investing in all the other children that comes across your child. You're investing in a better world. Okay? So keep this in mind, and may God help you, may God inspire you, and me, all of us, in this task, which is not an easy one, but it's so important and it's so gratifying. Okay? I'll see you next time. That was all the time we had for today. May God bless you. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.